See you upon Weng.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the amendments to this bill are introduced to give effect to the 2010 Aviation Treaty signed in Beijing. With the demand for air travel set to pick up over the next few years, this bill is imperative. I have several queries on it. First, Mr. Speaker, sir, does the bill cover all forms of technology, especially those recently developed and enhanced technology, which could be used for the purposes of warfare and terrorism? For instance, there has been reports about the suspected use of electronic warfare and methodologies. This includes microwave frequencies or directed pulsed radio frequency energy from portable microwave weapons to disrupt neurological function, also known as the Havana syndrome. With experts on the subject matter suggesting the possible development of non-kinetic tools and other forms of electromagnetic pulse weapons, should we not be concerned that terrorists may discharge such components from planes? They could also use them to turn planes into weapons of destruction. Some of these technologies may not cause death or serious injuries upon application. However, they could impair the judgment of pilots and aircrew or incapacitate them to the point where they are unable to maintain controlled flight. The sensitivity of electronic interference to aircraft navigation systems have been recently brought to light due to the introduction of 5G near some US airports. Second, Mr. Speaker, sir, does the bill consider that hackers could control an aircraft by hacking an aircraft's systems? In 2016, the US Department of Homeland Security conducted a hacking exercise. They were able to penetrate the system of a passenger plane without insider help or being on board. Today, many aspects of aviation are digitized, from the sale of air tickets to in-flight systems to the management of jet fuel and air traffic control. The importance of software in civil aviation is paramount. For example, seemingly minor software issues eventually led to the Boeing 737 MAX crisis. The expanded cyber footprint exposes aircrafts and airports to the possibility of more cyber attacks. As such, the failure to adequately address such issues may have dire consequences. According to Eurocontrol, at least 1,260 cybersecurity breaches against airlines and other aviation bodies were reported in 2020. Last year, Singapore Airlines also suffered from a data breach. While experts believe the potential for hackers to gain control of a plane through such cybersecurity breaches is low, we should not discount any weak links. All it takes is one successful attempt to endanger an entire aircraft. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, sir, does the bill cover all forms of aircraft, including unmanned aerial vehicles and drones, and such development in unmanned technology? In recent years, drones have become increasingly sophisticated. Its application has become more widespread through government, commercial, and personal use. A quick internet search reveals that poorly secured drones can be easily hacked by the layman. Drones are already in use by terror outfits for the delivery of arms, explosives, and targeted attacks. They do not have to be complex or carry explosives in order to terrorize or kill. The simple act of spraying water over a group of people or nose diving into a crowd is enough to cause fear and a potential fatal stampede. More needs to be done in the form of stricter penalties and regulations in drone use and security measures to prevent the abuse of drones for terror-related activities. Fourthly, Mr. Speaker, sir, would the bill also apply to the unlikely scenario that a military, customs, or police service plane is used in the commission of an offence against civil aircraft and aerodomes? I note that Clause 9 amends Section 7.4 by providing that subsection 2A2 does not apply to any act committed in relation to an aircraft used in military, customs, or police service unless the aircraft is used in the military, customs, or police service of the Republic of Singapore. What is the reason for the distinction, if any? To be comprehensive, would these types of aircraft be covered in other legislation, and what would this be? Next, Mr. Speaker, sir, how can we ensure that cross-border collaboration with other countries and collaboration between involved ministries to enforce this bill be well integrated and seamless? Domestically, a number of ministries and agencies would be involved. The Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the Cybersecurity Agency deal with domestic terror issues relating to aviation complicated by cybersecurity. MINDEF oversees our national defense and security, while MFA engages with international organizations. I'm simplifying this network of relationships for the purposes of this speech. But in reality, this cross-ministry collaboration will be much more complex and possibly involve a greater number of agencies. Last month, Singapore and Indonesia signed a set of agreements on a number of critical bilateral issues, including the realignment of the boundary between the Jakarta Flight Information Region, or FIR, and the Singapore FIR. The agreement has been described to meet the civil aviation needs of both countries. It will ensure that our Changi Airport is able to operate efficiently and safely and uphold the safety and efficiency of the air traffic control in the region. International and regional cooperation is always essential to protect the safety of international airspaces, and I congratulate the Prime Minister and the team for securing the new agreement. I would like to clarify whether the realigned FIR is covered under the bill. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, can the Minister clarify what are the penalties for the newly added offences 5A to 5D, which would see offenders using aircrafts to cause death and destruction or abetting the act of it? Section 9 of the Act lists the penalties for offences under the Act, namely life imprisonment or fine not exceeding $1 million. Do these penalties apply if the offender was successful in their attempt and caused death and destruction? Would capital punishment be more appropriate to match the severity of the crime? In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, the September 11th attacks was the first time we saw an aircraft turned into a weapon of mass destruction by terrorists. More than 3,000 people were killed. It sparked a war on terror, which is still ongoing. Closer to home, as what member Polisan has shared, many will remember the hijacking of SQ Flight 117. The reason why I'm speaking on this bill is because with COVID-19 turning endemic, our aviation sector will pick up again. Our neighbours in Asia are building and expanding their airports, which should pose as a serious competition to our aviation industry. Aviation is thus important to Singapore. I would further argue that our status as an aviation hub is not only essential, but existential for our survival as a country. We must ensure that our aircrafts, airports, and airspaces are safe if we are to continue to be a global aviation hub. Since 9/11, the nature of terrorism has evolved rapidly. Newer aviation technologies, some which are accessible to the layman, are being deployed. Warfare is moving from the conventional to the unconventional to non-state adversaries. The lines are being blurred. Today, domestic terrorism is well on the way to become a much bigger threat than before, as widening disparities and misinformation threaten the unity of a nation. This bill is thus important to ensure that our laws are relevant, comprehensive, and in time for the future. Mr. Speaker, sir, notwithstanding all these queries, I support the bill.